Guess where I am headed today? It's the second largest city in the country in terms of land, with 224,000 hectares of land, the fourth most populous city in the Philippines, and home to Mount Apo, the highest mountain in the Philippines. And not only that, it's one city with a great love and respect for its environment that it is now plastic-free. It's anti-smoke belching, and it fully supports the Clean Air Act. You got it! Davao's the city for my next eco road trip. Welcome to Davao City, one of the cleanest, most progressive, highly modernized place in the country today. Because of its beautiful topography, lush natural resources, exotic finds, and wildlife, ecotourism is one of the greatest assets that has made Davao today the sixth most traveled destination in the country. Davao City, being in the center of the region, is strategically situated outside the typhoon belt, thus enjoying a consistent fine weather year-round and making it less vulnerable to climate change. They're a melting pot to various cultures, locals and foreigners who have loved the place, including minority indigenous groups such as the Bagobo, Mandaya, Mansaka, and Magindanaos, whose culture you can see in the Tribu K Mindanaoan village. Ranked as the fourth safest place in the world, locals and tourists alike enjoy touring this clean and green city any time of the day. That is why I didn't waste a minute and headed down straight to Malagos Garden Resort, one of the favorite spots here in Davao. This is called Nine Muses, made by our national artist, Napoleon Abueva. It depicts the different professions of women. Look at this. It looks like me. I'm Ruby. A 12-hectare nature theme park in Davao. Witness how this park, that is also a farm, practices the circle of life, from the trees that produces fruits that becomes artisan chocolates and wine. This is bignay berries, originally planted to attract birds from the wildlife, but now it is used to make wine. Bignay wine. From the animals that produces food like the famous Malagos farmhouse cheese and more, and these lush flora that produces clean air for everyone to breathe. Behind me are 2-century-old trees. To my right is Davao's oldest durian tree, and to my left is the marang tree. Both are still bearing fruits until today. Davao, being the eco-adventure capital of the land, also boasts of various eco-sites like the Eden Natural Park, home to one of the city's best eco-attractions. Standing 3,000 feet above sea level, Eden Nature Park is a mountain resort that is 95% man-made. When it was discovered in the 70s, the place was a barren land covered by wild grass. The owners planted thousands of pine tree seedlings, and in no time at all, it grew, providing canopies that allowed other trees and plants to grow and creating a secondary forest. This is Eden Park today. Cool, lush with more than 100,000 pine trees that serves as home to various species of birds and wildlife. Proof of how we can recreate nature and rebuild a lost environment if we put our hearts and minds to it. The place has become a special retreat area for people wanting to commune with nature and for having a unique adventure with nature. Situated in the southeastern seaboard of Mindanao, Davao is naturally blessed with an abundance of natural resources, including an exciting wildlife sanctuary, as they are known to house the king of Filipino birds. Davao is a good destination for eco-travelers because they get to visit personally this endangered monkey-eating eagle here at the Philippine Eagle Center. They once ruled the forest, but with men hunting them, the number have dwindled to the low number of 500 surviving eagles only. Thanks to the Philippine Eagle Center, it is humanity's last stand and the eagle's only hope of surviving again. Already part of the 8-hectare Malagos watershed, the Philippine Eagle Center houses 37, in which one eaglet has been hatched here already. Ano pong status nila?
Nag-decline yung population na dahil sa mga illegal logging.
Illegal logging?
Hunting, kasi wala na yung forest. Kasi yung teritoryo nila is naubos na, maliit na, kaunti na lang.
Yes.
So kasi isa-isang eagle, nag-occupy sila 60 to 100 square kilometers sa isang pair.
Sa isang pair, 60
to 100 square kilometers. So pag wala ng forest,
wala na rin wala na silang place na. Ano po ang ginagawa na programa ngayon dito sa Philippine Eagle Center?
Kasi ang purpose namin, i-breed sila tapos i-release balik sa wild.
Okay, so binibreed back to the forest.
The forest, para dumami sila.
Yes. Ilan meron tayo ngayon?
Sa ngayon, 34.
34. And when are you planning to release them back sa forest?
May mga eagle tayo na hindi pa na-release dahil sa kulang yung funding. Bago sila i-release, i-train mo na yung eaglet dito.
Okay.
May aversion. Yes. Like, monkey yung pinapakain.
Monkey?
May live wire doon sa loob para yung nangyari kay kabayan na kuryente. So, dito palang alam na niya pag nandun na siya sa wild. Si Pag-asa, siya yung pinakaunang Philippine eagle natin na na-breed dito sa captivity gamit yung artificial insemination.
Artificial insemination ang ano ni Pag-asa?
Artificial kasi yung both parents niya is imprint sa tao.
Okay.
So yung imprint, parang surrogate mate niya yung tao. Kasi pag mating season, dito yun magkupilit yung eagle sa ulo ng tao.
Okay.
May surgical gloves para makolek yung semen.
Okay.
I-transfer sa syringe.
Yes.
I-inject na lang sa female.
Oh, so yun ang
Para
artificial insemination.
Oh.
Now, ano pa po ang normal mating nila? Paano nangyayari? Do they do it in...
May natural din.
May natural din. Do
natural
they go
kasi-
to a specific area?
May mga breeding area kami na naka-isolate.
Yes.
Kasi hindi sila mag-breed pag disturb.
July to February ang
Yun ang
mating
time
season.
nila.
So, once na nag-mate sila, how long is the gestation period?
So,
Yes.
after mag-itlog yung eagle, usually October, November.
Yes.
So, i-retrieve namin, doon na incubate.
So kinukuha niyo
Kinukuha namin,
yung
oo.
eggs. So, how many days na nasa incubation sila?
57 to 60 days yung hatching period niya.
So far, how many eggs have you hatched here sa Philippine Eagle Center?
25 already. 7 yung sa artificial, 18 yung sa natural.
Other rare bird species are also under their protective care, including a row of assorted Philippine raptors and an island full of macaques. There are 3 eagles na na-release
Na-release
na natin sa wild. And out of the 3, 2 actually did not survive.
Yeah.
Not because of the environment, but because sanay sila sa mga tao. They're domesticated. So they kept
Dependent.
going to the village,
Yeah,
to the people, and na-electrocute.
Yeah.
So now that happened, you're training
Training
the eagles
Eagle
now
before
before
we
you're
release
released into
the
the wild. And I understand meron pa yata silang mga GPS,
GPS
so you
at
can
saka
track down
transmitter.
their
Purpose ng radio transmitter is daily mamonitor yung eagle.
yes.
Yung GPS, 10 days yung reading ng data. Kung
Yes.
saan kalayo siya nakaabot.
Nakaabot. I didn't lose the chance to ask personally the state of these endangered animals and how I can be of help. And what's the role of the Philippine eagle sa ating environment in the ecological status of the Philippines?
Sila
ano po
yung
ang importansya nila?
top predator.
Yes.
Sila yung top predator at the same time sila yung bioindicator. Kasi
Bioindicator.
may ano din sila sa tao connection. Like, pag may malaki pa yung forest, na ano sila sa mga floods.
Yes.
Or 70% sa drugs na galing doon sa forest,
Yes.
ano sa mga tao.
I see. So, when you say an indicator, so ibig niyo sabihin na pagka maganda pa ang forest and the environment, hindi pa siya masyadong depleted with the trees and the natural resources, nandiyan pa ang eagle.
Nandyan pa.
Okay, so it's an indicator. Pagka may eagle pa,
Maganda
the
pa yung-
environment is
yeah.
still very good. Okay, and what is the lifespan of an eagle?
Pinakamatanda dito sa captivity is 47 years old.
And normally, how many years po ang lifespan nila?
Sa record, umabot ng 60.
As an eco-traveler, always empower yourself on how you could help these animals, either in a financial way or by advocating and campaigning for the illegal hunt and trading to stop. Now there's more to the wild side of Davao as they house their own crocodile park. What's the purpose of the Crocodile Conservation Center? Why do we have them here?
So our purpose here is twofold. The first objective is to prepare for intensive crocodile farming.
Yes.
And the second objective is to create sort of a reserve population in which we can introduce back to the wild in the future if need be. Now, is that, obviously with this amount of animals, you can't just go and release them back into the wild.
Right.
There has to be strict protocol set up, and there has to be
Right.
studies done about the density of the populations already within the wild so that
Right.
you don't offset the balance of those already established populations.
Right. Pangil, the 18 feet long crocodile who now holds the record as the Philippines' largest crocodilian, resides here. I understand that the Philippine crocodile are now becoming endangered. They have come to a point where they're extinct. Why do you think that's happening?
That's a very good question. So, yeah, the Philippine crocodile, Crocodilus mindorensis, being an endemic species,
Right, in
only
the
has,
Philippines.
yeah, exactly, has a limited range to begin with. And over the last century, due to human consumption of the crocodile, consumption meaning, killing for the skins, harvesting for
And
the
the
meat,
meat.
exactly,
Yes.
unregulated hunting has essentially reduced the numbers. And in addition to that, the explosion in the growth of the human population
Right.
results in encroachment on their habitats. Pangil here, he has water that's deep enough for him to create buoyancy, so
Right.
he's not just resting all of his body weight upon his internal organs.
Right.
So he has the
So
ability
it's
to
enough
float,
to float.
essentially. Yeah.
Right, right.
He has the ability to sort of meander and turn around and whatnot. A crocodile this size in the wild, they don't need much space.
Right.
Reptiles in general have
they
a very
don't
slow
move around.
metabolism. Yeah, exactly.
Right. These crocodiles are among the main attraction when one visits Davao, as they provide a closer encounter with these reptiles. But these conservation centers are not for tourist purposes only. They are organized for a much deeper purpose, and that is to save the environment in general. What do you think is the importance of actually taking care of them? Are they getting into extinction?
Oh, absolutely. So both species that we have here, one which is Crocodilus porosus, the saltwater crocodile,
Yes.
has an extensive range that ranges all the way through mainland Southeast Asia,
Yes.
down in Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and further south into northern Australia. So even though it has a large range, throughout most of that range, it is in fact endangered. And the Philippine crocodile, as well, an endemic species to the Philippines, is also severely endangered.
Go, go, LPG Tricycle, go! LPG Tricycle Kit. LPG Tricycle, dual power na. No power loss at downtime pa. Ligtas at napakadaling i-install. Magtungo sa RPE Marketing, 3C Summerlin Building, 2454 FB Harrison Corner, Palhalia Street, Pasay City. Ang service center ay matatagpuan sa RPE Marketing Service Shop, 2233 Aurora Boulevard, Tramo, Pasay City.
Since the Philippines is considered as one of the most vulnerable countries to experience climate change, the country is now faced with extreme weather conditions from floods, drought, and food scarcity. It impacts us in our daily lives, most especially our fellow countrymen who are living in coastal communities. What is climate change, and how can we alleviate or prevent its damaging effects in our environment?
Well, climate change is a global problem. And we do know that, for instance, climate change can happen naturally over millions of years, where we have varying climates over many millions of years. However, because of the way that humans have pursued progress and economic development and its industrialization, we burned fossil fuels like oil, coal, and gas.
That's right.
And that has led to the increase of concentrations of what is called greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Now that is the primary cause. It is disrupting the whole global climate system. So for the Philippines, these are just some of the impacts, but other countries deal with other impacts like melting of glaciers, melting of the polar ice caps, and droughts. Climate change is manifested in the Philippines through four ways. First is that we are seeing increased temperatures, which will have profound impacts on agriculture and many other things on human health. The second thing is that we are experiencing more intense typhoons.
That's right.
As well as intense rainfall, and but the third
So the heat, the typhoon,
yes.
and
The third thing is that we see that our rainfall patterns are becoming erratic. When we need rain, we do not have it.
That's right.
When we don't want rain, we have too much of it.
that's right. Now summer cannot be summer because again we can have rain even during the dry season.
That's right.
So now we don't
That's
know
right.
when it's the wet season and the dry season. All year round could be wet and dry.
Precisely.
That's right. And the
then the
fourth
fourth thing is that we see this is something that's happening gradually, but the sea level is rising.
Okay. And how can we prevent all of these from progressing?
The problem with climate change is that it cannot be solved by one country alone.
That's
And
true.
we need the cooperation.
worldwide.
It's worldwide, and it does not respect territorial boundaries.
That's right.
And because the atmosphere, we share the atmosphere. The only way we can solve climate change absolutely is for all countries around the world to help in reducing the pollution that we spew into the atmosphere.
I see. So is there any other way that we can prevent or lessen the impact of climate change now here in the Philippines?
In terms of impacts for our country, it is going to be very difficult for us, well, for one, to stop climate change because
That's
again,
right.
that's not in our hands.
That's
but
right.
we can do a lot of things to ensure that the impacts can be absorbed or cushioned.
Right.
And that means taking care of our environment, protecting what we have left in terms of our forests, of our seas, of our
Right.
coral reefs,
Right.
and also pursuing development that is actually beneficial for all. And it's also important to stress that people who live in dangerous areas, in hazardous areas, for example,
right.
those prone to typhoons
That's
and
right.
storm surges and flooding, we
That's
must
right.
move them away from those areas.
I heard you are fasting right now, and what effect would it give to our planet when you fast?
Yes, fasting for me, first as a practical contribution to solving our environmental problems. Fasting itself, of course, gets you to eat less and sends a signal, sends a message that we can change the way we eat.
So it's more self-discipline.
It's of course self-discipline, but it's also a fact that if we consume more, then we aggravate our environmental crisis. If we, for instance, eat less meat, or
Right.
if we eliminate meat altogether from our diet, that is going to be very helpful in reducing our ecological and carbon footprint.
Even if Davao is blessed with an abundance of natural resources, what's admirable about the Davaoeños is that they have the conscious effort to protect all that is entrusted to them by nature. They take solid waste management and segregation very seriously, as they know that any misdoing will lead them to polluting the air, land, and water. This is the reason why one father thought of an alternative way to dispose processed cooking oil. Instead of people dumping it down their sinks, he started collecting them and processing these used cooking oil to become fuel additives that is used to improve vehicle engine combustion and ignition, and he calls this product biofuel.
So nagawa ko ng compressed air thermal fuel oil dryer. Yun ang pangalan ng invention natin sa equipment
Yes.
para pag-process sa used cooking oil po. All varieties of used cooking oil at lalabas ng biofuel
Right.
niya.
Saan po nagagaling yung mga source ng oil ninyo?
Sa pagka-ngayon, doon tayo sa mga food chains,
Apa.
hotel and restaurants, hospital dietaries po. So, by collecting yung
The
mga
used-
used cooking oil from household,
Right.
papunta doon sa mga food chains natin, ikukulkit at bibilihin natin yan.
Yeah.
At i-recycle natin para maging biofuel.
Right.
So, mapakinabangan. As per laboratory test or actual, kasi dalawa yung ang sistema sa pag-test ng fuel additive, okay? May tinatawag na baseline testing. Sa baseline testing, nagamit ng pure gasoline or pure
Apa.
diesel without using additive.
Yes.
Then after,
They
nilagyan
use-
ng
yes.
1 ml per liter.
And they compare.
Or they compare. So
Apa.
doon po nakita ang difference ngayon.
Ang difference.
So nag-range from 10 to 22% ang fuel savings.
Malaki pong savings yan.
Now, isa pa, bukod yan, nakasave ang kuha natin, ang mga users.
Apa.
Nakikinabang din natin environment.
The brilliant invention of our eco-warrior, Engineer Kichol's biofuel will surely do wonders for the environment, as cooking oil will now be properly reused and recycled. The fight to protect the environment does not end with our eco-warrior, but here in Davao, the whole city has made it to a point to protect air. The city is campaigning for clean air, and they have done it in various ways.
Meron din naman kami mga employees who is really maintaining sa cleanliness ng syudad. Meron kaming street sweepers, meron kaming mga laborers to work in the parks. And of course, even on the roads, meron din kami tinatawag namin na sidewalk brigade. Yung tinatawag
so
na
talagang yun lang ang
diniscrete
ginagawa
the
nila.
roadside, tapos lilinis kami. Susundan naman ng aming truck para hakutin naman yung mga debris anywhere. So parang ganon. Tapos 24/7 kasi kami sa
ang operation
ang aming
po ng mga
operation ng
umikot.
sentro yung sa paglilinis. Lalo na
Opo.
yung koleksyon ng basura.
As far as clean air naman po, I understand you have a very strict program on clean air as far as belching is smoke belching
Yes,
sa
ma'am.
mga cars po natin. Ano pong programa yun?
Actually, we have our ordinance on sa anti-smoke belching unit. Meron kaming mga team ng Senro, yung aming mga engineer, yung sanitary engineer namin, na monitor kami doon sa kalsada, yung mga
Masasakyan.
yung masasakyan.
Opo.
Tapos inuhuli din sila if they violate doon sa
Opo.
Tapos meron din kaming isang team na nasa aming motor pool. Pag binahuli, doon iti-test yung sasakyan.
So dinadala niyo
Dinadala
po ang mga
po doon,
sasakyan
sinasabit. Pero maganda din po kasi yung mga merong mga big buses doon sa kanilang garage, sila po nagre-request para pupunta kami doon for them to test.
So sila na ang
Sila
willing.
nagbo-volunteer na
so
sila.
proactive po sila.
Ayaw
hindi
kasi
na sila
nilang
reactive.
ma-delay doon sa kalsada for ma-apprehend pa sila mamaya.
Yeah. You have an ordinance that's strictly being followed na 10,000 daw po ang inyong multa pagka mga nahuli sila smoking outside the designated area for smoking.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
meron lang po talagang area where they are allowed to smoke.
Oo,
All others, hindi
ganito
sila
pong
po pwede.
open na area, bawal talaga dito.
Ano po ang mga future na programa na inline po sa ating syudad right now?
Ay, yung aming inaano ngayon, ma'am, ini-enforce yung aming low carbon development para sa entire city.
Apo.
Yung carbon sink management namin. Actually, this park is 7 years old. Parang 7
7 years
years.
old. Actually, very good.
Ganito na to.
Well-maintained po
Parang
yung park.
we consider this park as our lung center.
I'm a staunch advocate of Clean Air Act in my own way. I campaign in all the destinations I visit to plant trees. One tourist, one tree. For every tourist that goes here, we must recommend that they plant trees so they get their share in promoting clean air. And at the same time, it gives them reason to come back and visit Davao again. Let's start one tourist, one tree as I plant these hybrid ipil trees now. Now I know why Davao is the fastest growing cities in the country today. Not only do they promote industrialization and modernization, but they also take the protection of the environment very seriously. They are one of the cleanest and most disciplined cities in the country today, with their people and local taking the lead in protecting Mother Earth. I'm Ruby. I hope other destinations will follow what Davao is doing now, because Mother Earth needs the help of not just one city, but everyone.